Morning, guys. Happy Tuesday. Time for a little Smart News Coffee Talk. A few things I think you should know for your day. It's been a busy morning. Just to show you the remnants while a few of you join us. Check out what's going on here. Half eating breakfast. I do love this. In a pinch, Trace wanted pancakes today. I didn't have time to make them fresh, but these are great because they're frozen. A lot of protein, and why not? Talk about that's not for breakfast. That's just hasn't been put away. Let me take you over here, though. You do so much work as a mom trying to get everybody fed. And then, I guess they eat. It's not. I guess they do. They're watching a little Pinkalicious on PBS, so we'll have a quiet moment, hopefully, for a second, just to talk about a couple things happening today. Two things that you're not going to see on our site, but I just want to flag for you are one is a anniversary in history, and another is a meeting with the president. So on this day in history, it's funny to think about what we remember, what we celebrate as Americans, and what kind of dates just kind of float into obscurity. But today in history was the surrender of Robert E. Lee to Ulysses S. Grant in the Civil War. And, it didn't get everything back to normal, but it was a significant day in history where this incredibly deadly war in America ended. And I think it's sort of interesting to think about that day today as we look at the news and look at who we consider our friends and who we consider our enemies, because the context is interesting to think, wow, in America at one point we considered each other enemies. And I guess I would hate to think that some of us still do. But when you look at across the course of history, who we've engaged in battle, who we've engaged in war, still sort of frames some of the news that we're going to be talking about today. So something that's happening today at the White House is the president is going to be meeting with the president of Egypt. This is going to be an important meeting to watch because the president of Egypt is a key figure for the United States, or has been in the past. And this relationship, especially in this area of North Africa, is important strategically, not only with foreign policy and our position in the Middle East and in Africa, but also just geographically. One of the things we talked about yesterday was what's happening in Libya, with America temporarily removing its military assets from Libya because of the unrest there. So let's watch this meeting just for any news and see if what we hear about the relationship between the United States and Egypt. Just something I want you to know a little bit about. Two things happened yesterday that are not connected, but we're connecting on the site because I think you should think about them together. One of the things that was done is the U.S. State Department, for the very first time in history, designated an entity in another country or a part of another country's government as a foreign terrorist organization. So let me explain a little bit of what that's about. When we declare war, we have a process that we're supposed to go through. And one of the things that the war on terror has presented is a challenge about how to engage terrorist organizations in a way that we deem legal and we deem constitutional. And one of the ways that we've decided to do this is to label groups foreign terrorist organizations. When we do that, it allows us to place certain sanctions on them. It allows us to punish those who are participating in them. It allows just an extra level of penalty through the United States for friends of those terrorist groups as well. Now, you're going to ask, well, does that allow us to go after and kill these terrorists? Well, as the State Department said yesterday, well, that would not be an issue of the State Department. That would be the issue of the Department of Defense. But this is all part of the same picture. So what we did yesterday is the State Department said in a week's time, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps will now be a part of the list of foreign terrorist organizations. The people that are on that list, or the groups that are on that list, include ISIS and Al-Qaeda. These are names that you know. And in order to be on the list, you have to be a foreign group, you have to be engaged in terrorism, and you have to threaten the United States and its people in some way or fashion. So there's 67 groups on this list so far. And this is, again, significant because it's a entity of a foreign government that we're putting on the list. The IRGC, as we'll call it, has a lot of different roles in the Iran's government. One of the main one is military, but there's other roles as well. They're supposed to support the Islamic government of Iran. And the United States blames Iran for killing American soldiers and sponsoring terrorists across the globe and acting as terrorists as well. So this is an official step in a direction that will allow us potentially to target more financially and otherwise anybody that's in the sphere of this group. So interesting just to know about that. Why it happened yesterday, not sure. The State Department says they've been working on it a long time. I reached out to the State Department and asked why. I haven't heard back, but I'll let you know. The reason I also reached out to the State Department is something equally important. I don't even want to say equally important. They're all sort of important. Yesterday, 3 American soldiers were killed in Afghanistan along with the U.S. contractor in a suicide bombing. Now, the Taliban is claiming responsibility. As we've discussed, the United States has been negotiating a peace settlement of some sort, or attempting to, in Afghanistan in America's longest war. One of the contentious issues when we look at America's longest war has been why the United States has not designated the Taliban a terrorist organization to enable us to further engage the Taliban on all sorts of different fronts, not only in the front militarily, but through sanctions and through their different partners. So there's no clear answer on this about why we do not label them a terrorist organization, but there are theories by analysts. And the theory is if we label them a terrorist organization, then we cannot engage in negotiations with them because the United States does not negotiate with terrorists as a general rule. So there's how politics gets involved. But you can kind of check off the list and think, well, the Taliban does all these things that a foreign terrorist organization does. Why do we not include them? And you'd be right to ask that question and know that that question has been asked not only of the Trump administration, but the Obama administration and the Bush administration. So it's sort of an interesting, again, kind of like an interesting story about who do we call our enemies? How do we label them? How do we engage them? And how are we looking to defeat them? And that's how I kind of want you to think about this news today. I think it's really important to look at it overall together. Why now? What are we doing? How are we doing it? What goals are we trying to achieve? So that's a lot of foreign policy, but I think it's a good dose of it today to sort of know what's going on. And then meantime, back here at home, just 2 newsworthy items just want to mention to you really quick. Eric Swalwell, I hope I'm saying that right, is the newest Democrat who's entering the presidential race. He's a Bay Area congressman. He's under 40, so he's the 3rd Democrat candidate under 40 running for president. And if you're asking, well, how many people are running for president, the official number that looks like news agencies are using is this is number 18, although that doesn't include everybody on the list. So there you go. And Virginia won the national championships for men's basketball yesterday. Just feel like you should know that. First time in school history that was done. So congratulations to them. And I think we got through a lot. That was a lot, wasn't it, today? But it was good. A lot of you in the Midwest are experiencing the start of a snowstorm. Sorry about that. I was thinking about this last night. Deep thoughts last night. If April showers brings May flowers, then what does snow in April bring? That's what I want to know. Is there a rhyme? Have a great day, guys. Let us know if you'd like us to check out any other stories. info@smarternews.com or direct message us on social media. Have a great day.